All right, gentlemen, let's settle in and have a truly honest, long overdue conversation. Today, we are going to talk about movement, how you move, how you approach the act of intimacy, and the massive, often entirely unappreciated impact this has on the quality of the experience for both you and your partner. This is not about gymnastics or complicated maneuvers. This is about deep biological understanding and psychological awareness. Get this fundamental understanding wrong, and you run the risk of causing discomfort, disconnection, or disappointment, perhaps even without realizing it. But get this right, integrate these concepts into your shared experience, and you will become someone she is completely, intensely drawn to, someone whose presence she craves, because the experience you create together is not just pleasurable, but truly unforgettable. I am Dr. Emma Blake, and I work in urology and men's health. Every single week, I speak with men and women, helping them navigate the physical and emotional landscapes of their bodies, striving to improve not just performance, but genuine connection in their most intimate relationships. What we are delving into today comes from a profound source, the quiet, often unspoken confessions of thousands of women. In various surveys, medical discussions, and therapeutic settings, a data pool that easily surpasses 10,000 confessions, women have admitted, time and again, what they crave in bed, but what they are often simply too shy, too afraid of hurting your feelings, or too conditioned to silence to ever actually ask for. This truth, this unspoken desire, often revolves around a single powerful element: how you thrust, how you move, and the intentionality behind that movement. Most men, understandably, never receive proper instruction in this area. We operate on assumption, on what feels immediately good to us, or on what is portrayed in fiction. But when you understand the female body's anatomy, its specific needs for arousal, and the psychology of pleasure, everything shifts. You move from being a hopeful participant to an intentional, informed, and deeply satisfying partner. So, let's unlock these secrets. I'm going to share with you 5 detailed, science-backed ways to adjust your physical movement during sex. Techniques rooted directly in human anatomy and neurophysiology. These 5 techniques not only heighten her pleasure to an almost unbelievable degree, but they also give you the tools you need to maintain control, extend your own pleasure, and make the whole shared experience far more satisfying for both of you. They are not simply gimmicks, they are foundational shifts in how you perceive and participate in intimacy. The first, and perhaps the most crucial point, is one of pacing. We must start slow, and I mean genuinely, deliberately slow. This may sound ridiculously simple, almost too obvious, but it is the foundation, the very bedrock, upon which all subsequent techniques must be built. The fundamental biological reality we must acknowledge is this: a woman's body requires a significantly longer period to warm up, to fully prepare for and welcome penetration, than a man's. A man's physical arousal is often rapid, driven by visual or mental stimulus, leading to immediate physical readiness. For a woman, the process is slower, layered, and dependent on a cascading series of physiological events. During adequate arousal, the tissues surrounding her vaginal opening must undergo a series of transformations. They need to expand, they need to elongate, and they must relax their muscular tension to allow for comfortable, deep, and pleasurable penetration. This process involves vasocongestion, increased blood flow, and the necessary lubrication that follows. This biological preparation is not instant. It cannot be rushed. If you, in the heat of the moment, influenced by your own rapid state of arousal, decide to go fast or deep right from the very start, the anatomical reality is that it can, and often does, result in actual discomfort or even outright pain. This is the first and most common unstated craving women have: the crave for patience. She might not articulate this discomfort, due to societal pressures, due to a reluctance to interrupt the flow, or simply to avoid making you feel inadequate. She may simply tense up, or try to subtly work through the pain, hoping it subsides. But that discomfort, even a subtle one, is a powerful, immediate antagonist to pleasure. It sends a message of danger or violation to the body, instantly shutting down the neurological pathways that lead to true enjoyment and deep relaxation. This physiological shutdown prevents the full, expansive opening that is required for maximum mutual pleasure. Instead, your focus must be on pacing, a deliberate, thoughtful approach. Begin with the most shallow, the most gentle movements imaginable. Consider it the final, subtle stage of foreplay, but performed internally, This allows her body the necessary time to catch up to the emotional and mental arousal she is experiencing. You must be an active observer in this moment. Pay critical attention to her subtle cues, the depth and rhythm of her breathing, the way her muscles respond. Do they tense or do they soften? When you observe her body language transitioning into a state of visible relaxation, when her muscles start to soften and truly open to you, that is your anatomical cue to begin the slow, gradual build of intensity. This gradual, patient buildup serves a dual purpose. Firstly, and most importantly, it honors her body's needs and ensures that everything feels good, safe, and deeply pleasurable for her. Secondly, it is a potent self-control mechanism for you. By intentionally beginning slowly, you naturally extend your own pleasure curve and maintain greater control over your own arousal, thus contributing to the second core craving, the craving for control and duration. The man who rushes is often the man who finishes too quickly, and the foundation of lasting pleasure is a deep, unhurried start. This brings us directly to the second technique, which is rooted in psychology and neurochemistry. Tease her. Teasing is not just a playful suggestion. It is one of the most powerful, neurologically sophisticated techniques you can employ, because it fundamentally builds anticipation, and anticipation, gentlemen, is the engine of pleasure. The human brain, in a fascinating twist of neurobiology, experiences pleasure that is dramatically magnified when it actively expects more of it. The mind anticipates the dopamine hit, the sensory input, and this expectation elevates the experience exponentially when it is finally delivered. So, when you have established a rhythm, a pace, and a depth that you can clearly observe she is enjoying, that she is responding positively to, you must use this momentum strategically. Stay in that rhythm for a period, allowing her body and mind to settle into that wave of pleasure. Then, with deliberate, unhurried grace, you must slow down. Do not withdraw completely, stay inside her. Reduce your movement to the absolute lightest, most subtle friction. Keep your eyes locked with hers. Speak a few soft words. Let the physiological and psychological tension climb, allowing the anticipation to swell inside her mind and body. When you finally, and I mean finally, bring the intensity back, it feels utterly magnificent. It feels objectively better than it did before the pause. Precisely because her mind and her entire sensory system have been intensely, neurologically craving that return. This is the third unspoken desire, the desire for focused intensity. However, timing is paramount. This technique, while powerful, must be deployed strategically. You must not, under any circumstances, use this pause, this tease, right before she is clearly on the verge of climax. At that point, a pause will not register as anticipation or excitement. It will register as sudden, agonizing frustration, an interference with a highly desired physical release. Teasing works most effectively earlier in the process, during the ascent, while things are still building, creating the potential energy that will be released later. You will know you are executing this technique correctly by observing her nonverbal cues. When you slow down, she will begin to breathe faster. Her body will instinctively move against yours, searching for the friction that was just removed. Her hands will reach for you, drawing you in, rather than pushing you away or becoming rigid. This is her body telling you, through the language of movement, yes, I want more. Yes, I am craving this. This patient, deliberate teasing demonstrates respect for her pleasure, showing that you are controlling your own gratification in service of the mutual experience. This brings us to the third core concept, which deals directly with the body's frustrating tendency towards sensory adaptation. You must vary your tempo. The truth is, the human body, whether male or female, is designed by nature to adapt to repetition. It is a survival mechanism. If you maintain the exact same speed, the same depth, and the same rhythm for too long, a neurological phenomenon occurs where the sensitivity begins to decrease. The input is constant, so the brain decides it no longer needs to pay as much attention to it. This leads to both of you beginning to feel less, and the experience plateauing into monotony. The feeling of good simply becomes routine. Changing pace, changing the rhythm, is a physiological shock to the system. It instantly resets the body's sensitivity, reigniting the neurological attention, and bringing everything back to life with a renewed sense of intensity. This is why you must think of the entire act, not as a steady, consistent mechanical pump, but as a series of waves. You must intentionally alternate between extremes. Go slow for a period, then fast for a short burst. Go shallow for a long period, focusing on the entrance and the subtle friction it creates. Then pivot to deep, intentional penetration. Build up, allowing the wave to crest with a burst of intensity, and then deliberately pull back, let the water settle, and start the rebuild again. This is not arbitrary motion. This is intentional, sensitive choreography. Her cues should be your compass for this variation. If you notice her inner muscles starting to tighten subtly around you, that is often a sign of high arousal, and an invitation to deepen the motion while potentially slowing the speed to maintain control. If her breathing accelerates dramatically, if her grip tightens on you, that is your signal to gradually but definitively increase the tempo to capitalize on that rising wave of excitement. When you incorporate this natural, fluid variation into your rhythm, you prevent the experience from becoming a chore. You keep both of you fully engaged, fully present, and intensely connected to the moment. The fourth unspoken craving, the one that women are most likely to avoid mentioning, out of fear that they will appear too demanding or that they might shatter the male ego, is the craving for external attention during penetration. This introduces the technique most men completely overlook, which is the skillful use of grinding. The vast majority of male sexual focus, by anatomical necessity and historical conditioning, centers almost entirely on penetration, on thrusting. Thrusting is a wonderful action. It effectively stimulates internal nerve endings, the highly sensitive vaginal walls, and areas like the anterior vaginal wall, which is often mistakenly referred to as the G-spot. But fast, linear thrusting, the primary motion that most men default to, frequently misses the primary source of sexual pleasure for the vast majority of women, and that is the clitoris. Anatomical studies consistently show that while internal stimulation is deeply pleasurable and critical for the sensation of fullness and deep contact, up to 70% of women require direct or indirect clitoral stimulation to achieve orgasm. Thrusting, by its very nature, often bypasses this crucial external area. Grinding is the essential bridge that closes this anatomical gap. When you intentionally slow the movement down and begin to move your pelvis in slow, controlled circles, or in gentle, deliberate forward and backward presses without fully withdrawing, you are doing something revolutionary. You are applying consistent, indirect but significant pressure to the clitoral area and the inner labia, all while maintaining that deep, continuous internal contact. This combination is profoundly pleasurable because it engages both the internal nerve endings and the external sensory receptors simultaneously. You are creating a symphony of stimulation, hitting two major pleasure centers at once. Positions like missionary, or any position where you have control over the angle of your pelvis, make this easiest to initiate. You can adjust the angle of your body slightly, tilting your hips upward or downward, until you feel the sweet spot, that point where your pelvic bone, or the base of your shaft, is gently pressing and rubbing against the upper external area. This technique is incredibly beneficial for you as well. Grinding, by its slower, more diffusive nature, is significantly less stimulating to the male physiology than the rapid, focused friction of fast thrusting. This means that you can actively slow things down, ease off the accelerator, and buy yourself valuable time, allowing you to last longer while simultaneously keeping her arousal at a consistently high, sustained level. Use grinding as an active pause, a way to de-escalate your own stimulation while elevating hers. It is intimate, deeply close, and provides a satisfaction that linear thrusting simply cannot replicate alone. It addresses the craving for dual satisfaction. The fifth and final physical directive is less of a movement and more of a philosophy. You must simply pay attention. This may sound like the most obvious piece of advice, yet it is what separates the average, forgettable lover from the truly unforgettable one. Awareness is the master skill of intimacy. You must stay exquisitely tuned into her body language, viewing her as the clearest, most honest form of communication. The body speaks volumes without making a sound. Notice the small things, the subtle changes in her breathing patterns, the little involuntary sounds she makes, the sudden tensing of her legs, or conversely, the visible, complete relaxation of her muscles as she draws closer to you. When you perform an action, a new rhythm, a different depth, a different angle, and you see her body soften, her hips tilt toward you, or her breathing become deeper, keep doing it. Her body is giving you a green light, a physical affirmation that you have discovered a path to her pleasure. Conversely, when you notice her tensing up, becoming rigid, or subtly pulling her hips back, even a small fractional movement, you must immediately adjust, change the angle, change the rhythm, change the pressure. This is her body giving you a clear, nonverbal message. This isn't working right now. Presence is everything in this moment. Do not, I repeat, do not get lost in your own thoughts, worrying obsessively about your performance, your stamina, or the mechanics. That internal monologue divorces you from the shared reality of the moment. Instead, focus entirely on the shared experience. Focus on the sensory feedback loop between you and her. The more attuned you become to these subtle, real-time responses, the more intuitively you will know what to do next. You will cease overthinking and begin instinctively responding, creating an experience that feels perfectly tailored to her needs in that exact moment. This fulfills the craving for active, nonverbal listening. Now, before we conclude, there is one final, overarching element that doesn't involve physical technique, but rather, it is the invisible, essential framework that allows these 5 techniques to truly thrive and deliver the unforgettable experience they promise. It is, quite simply, the emotional connection. For women, sex is rarely, if ever, a purely physical transaction. It is an intricate, complex blend of the physical and the emotional, inextricably linked through biology and human experience. The pathways that lead to deep, explosive pleasure that allows her to fully let go, to completely abandon herself to the moment, are governed by foundational emotions: trust, safety, and desire. When she feels emotionally safe with you, when she feels seen, understood, and truly connected to you as a person, her body responds physiologically. Her muscles relax more deeply. Her tissues open more completely. The neurological defenses that might subconsciously hold her back dissolve. This deeper state of relaxation, this willingness to be vulnerable, directly correlates to a dramatically greater physical experience of pleasure. It is a biological fact. Emotional safety unlocks physical capacity. Even if you are in a new relationship, or the situation is casual, a sense of genuine emotional connection and respect exponentially increases the intensity and the satisfaction of the physical act. That is the final, ultimate, unspoken truth that lies at the heart of what women crave. They crave the man who understands that physical technique is the language of attraction, but emotional awareness is the language of intimacy that keeps her coming back. When you build that foundation of respect and trust, when she feels completely secure in your presence and your intentions, she will let go fully, embracing the moment without reservation or fear of judgment. And that, gentlemen, is when the true, best, most profound experiences happen, when both partners are completely present, completely comfortable, and completely giving themselves over to the shared, intimate world you have created together. The 5 techniques we discussed are powerful tools, but they are tools of respect. They are expressions of the patience and awareness that confirms to her that you care about her pleasure as much, if not more, than your own. So, let us review these lessons one last time, slowly, allowing them to sink in as guiding principles for your intimate life. First, you must start slow. You honor the female body's inherent need for a gradual warm-up, replacing speed and forceful depth with gentle, shallow pacing, ensuring comfort, safety, and the foundation for sustained pleasure. Second, you must tease her. You understand the power of the brain, the neurochemistry of anticipation. You create tension by subtly slowing down or pausing, ensuring that the return of intensity feels exponentially better because it has been deliberately craved and expected. Third, you must vary your tempo. You consciously fight the body's natural adaptation to repetition. You introduce waves, alternating speed and depth to constantly reset her sensitivity, keeping the experience fresh, dynamic, and fully engaging for both of you. Fourth, you must use grinding. You recognize the anatomical necessity of dual stimulation, bridging the gap between internal penetration and external clitoral focus. This slow, rotational movement provides deep satisfaction for her and invaluable control for you, acting as an essential active pause. And fifth, you must pay attention. You embrace awareness as the ultimate form of performance. You become a reader of her body's silent language, making real-time adjustments that confirm to her that her pleasure is your sole focus. When these 5 physical techniques, which are all ultimately expressions of patience and respect, are combined with the crucial element of emotional connection, the commitment to making her feel safe, seen, and truly desired, you cease to be simply an active partner. You become a craftsman of unforgettable intimacy. You create an experience that transcends the purely physical, elevating it to something deeply satisfying, something that she will inherently crave, and something she will never have to summon the courage to ask for. For those of you who want to ensure the physical side of this equation, the circulation, the stamina and the confidence is fully supported, there are two distinct paths I am frequently asked to recommend. For those seeking a mild foundational boost in erection strength and overall blood flow, I often recommend exploring an organic watermelon extract. This extract is naturally rich in L-citrulline, a precursor to nitric oxide, which is a powerful vasodilator, directly supporting healthy blood flow, essential for optimal function. It is a natural, gentle support mechanism. For men seeking a stronger, more comprehensive boost to their performance profile, addressing erection quality, stamina, testosterone support, and even prostate health, a more advanced performance formula is often necessary. These formulas typically combine highly effective natural ingredients, such as acarian from horny goatweed, tongkat ali, fenugreek, nettle, and of course L-citrulline itself. These compounds work synergistically to provide a multifaceted natural lift to the physical side of intimacy. You will find the links to the resources and specific products I recommend most often in the comments section below, as well as in the description of this video. Take the time to explore them, because true confidence is built on both psychological awareness and physiological support. Remember, the goal is not to perform, but to connect, to move with intention, to listen with your body and your mind, and to create a shared, intimate world that is deeply satisfying and truly unforgettable for both of you. Thank you for this essential conversation.